So I go on Twitter, and my friend Amanda Prestigiacomo from the Daily Wire, I follow her on Twitter, and I read her stuff on the Daily Wire, thedailywire.com. I would recommend everyone go to it. And I'm like, finally, a voice of sanity on everything that is going on. And I know she's being blasted for it by some on the left, but I guess you would expect that. But Amanda, I had to bring her on the show. So, Amanda, welcome to Beyond Reason Radio. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, the main reason I wanted to bring you on is to get your thoughts on all of this, to get your thoughts on what we're doing as a country here. I mean, what are you thinking today as now my Governor Ron DeSantis, has done a statewide shutdown order, basically?
Yeah, so, I mean, where to begin?
I know. I was trying to think of where to begin with you, and I'm like, I was going to ask you to talk me off the ledge, but I don't know if you would, honestly.
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, we have some time to turn this around. So I think America always perseveres. We've been through worse. We're going to be okay. Okay, we have innovation. We have when we don't have President Fauci, when we have President Trump, we're all right. So hopefully we get him back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We'll get that back on track. No, just first and foremost, America will bounce back. We have always bounced back. But just general thoughts, I think most people, if you take a step outside of media, you think most people are frustrated probably with our approach to this, and they're scared. So those two feelings are probably the most prevalent, right? And I think, as you guys mentioned, which is super important, the uncertainty, right? We don't know what's going on. We don't know a ton about the virus. We know some things. We've learned a lot. We have new data outside of China because they lied to us, of course. But the uncertainty, even with the economic standpoint, right? You don't know when you're going to have your small business back up. You don't know when you can hire people back, or when you're going to have your paycheck, or even this relief, when it's going to get here for sure. I mean, we won't have those checks yet for the relief for just, everyday citizens.
Right.
There's so much unknown that is really crushing us right now. And Rush Limbaugh actually talked about this yesterday.
Which you wrote about on the Daily Wire, I saw.
Yeah, because I thought it was so important, because nobody is allowed to talk about what we're doing economically. And I think Rush Limbaugh made such a good point where he said, this is being viewed as you were highlighting, Michael, that it's, you just like money over lives.
You
right?
you care about the stock market. That's what I've heard a lot of the people on the left say. You only care about the stock market. And I'm like, how do you have a conversation with someone that dumb, honestly?
No, it is hard to have these sort of conversations with people who are just kind of regurgitating what they've heard in the mainstream. Yeah, I mean, first of all, these shutdowns are really hurting small businesses, okay? You have your Walmarts open, you have your Home Depots, you have these big companies still open, but a lot of small businesses have been shut down for weeks now, okay? They have razor-thin margins. You close your restaurant for 2 weeks, you might not ever open again.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of issues here for people outside of, the stock market, okay? So it's everyday Americans are feeling this. And there are... If we tank our economy, if we continue to stop our economy, and we have no end in sight, because we have no end in sight, okay? These timelines keep getting pushed. You are going to have death from an economic shutdown, from a total economic collapse. You are going to have abject poverty. You are going to have our healthcare system in shambles. We see in Australia, private hospitals are shutting down because elective surgeries are not allowed right now. They have to be postponed.
Yeah.
So they're bringing in zero revenue.
It's interesting you bring that up. Here in Orlando, there is some complaining because I guess Orlando Regional or some Orlando hospital is still doing some elective surgery if the surgeons want to do it. They're not forcing them, and they're getting blasted for it. And I'm like, why? If they're able to do it and help people who are sick and get that revenue, why are we blasting them? But it's the fear, I guess.
Yeah, I think everything has become so national. Everything's sort of on a federal level. So you think of kind of the news media as national too, right? So DeSantis can't just run his state, or the mayors and county leaders can't, because they get highlighted on a national level, and they will get blasted for that, nationally. So there's so much pressure to kind of follow this top-down approach, this one-size-fits-all approach, when there are different areas of the nation, right? New York City is not Kentucky, is not Texas, is not, Montana, right? These are going to be affected differently. There are different populations. There are different population densities. They're different areas, right? You can't just control them all exactly the same. And that's what we've basically been doing. I mean, your governor's the only one who held out this long. Alabama already caved. There is a single approach for the whole nation, which I think is not effective, and I think it's just adding to our problems, because our economic problems are just going to feed into the issues that we already have. Okay, we have this virus. We're learning as we go. For example, in California, we have almost negligible amount of deaths, right? We have like 150, maybe a little more than that today.
It's very low when you compare that to like New York.
And how, for example, think of the tourism, the Chinese tourism in California. You can't tell me that virus hasn't been there for at least 2 months. So we have to, I mean, there's a lot we don't know, and that's scary, right? Like, why is it exploding in New York and not in California? What sort of things work here? But the one-size-fits-all lockdown does not seem to be working. We saw it in Italy, in Lombardy. They had towns shut down since February 22nd. In Lombardy. Last week, they had a fifth of the global COVID deaths. Do we want to model a place like Italy? Probably not. But that's sort of what it seems like we're doing, and it's we have a couple weeks, and I hope President Trump will kind of go back to his initial gut feeling, where he said that he will look at counties and will look to try to get some of America back getting back to work. That was fantastic from him. When President Trump said that we don't want the cure to be worse than the disease, I want that President Trump back, back leading our nation. That would be fantastic. And I think it'll happen soon, because there's 10 million out of work. I don't know how much longer we can go. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. 6.6 million people last week filed for unemployment. And my first thought is exactly what Rush said that you wrote about on the Daily Wire today, is that's unsustainable. But I thought Rush made a good point. It's not about lives versus money. It's lives versus lives. We can't risk the destruction of the economy. And I posted this on Facebook a couple days ago. I said, you all realize that a working economy is how you get to eat, right? Like, do you and I think a lot of people, frankly, don't understand that. They just think it's going to be there somehow. And I'm like, without a working economy, if we just destroy our country and our economy, you're going to see a lot more devastation and death. And is that better? But if you even bring that up, they say, how could you say that? All the health experts are saying this. All the health experts are saying that. Well, all the health experts, a month ago were saying you shouldn't wear face masks. And now I'm seeing a study today that says this can be transmitted by breathing and talking to someone, which is totally different than what I heard just a week ago. I'm just worried that we're just following the line, and this panic is going to continue. We're saying, okay, we're going to be shut down for a month, but after a month, are we just going to say, okay, we have to be shut down another month? And then after another month, are we just going to say, oh, we're just going to be shut down another month? I don't think it's an unfair question to ask how long this lasts.
That's right. And the uncertainty, again, is hurting the economy. If we had some certainty, we have Dr. Fauci, who is fantastic for what he's doing, right? He is a medical expert. That is what he does. He does not weigh in the economy. That's not his job. It doesn't matter. His job is to stop the spread of COVID. That is his one job. Donald Trump's job is to get a balanced approach, and then he makes the call. Right. He makes the call, but it doesn't seem that way. We don't have a timeline. Again, we had 15 days, then we had Easter potentially. Now we have until April 30th. We had Dr. Fauci say today, this is our only weapon until we have a vaccine. I hope people understand. Dr. Fauci saying that suggests that we will do this until we have a vaccine. That is maybe a year, maybe years. That doesn't make any sense, right? That's not a real goal. So what is our goal? Is our goal to stop, slow the spread so we can ramp up production and make sure hospitals are okay? Okay, that's fine. Tell us that and give us a date so we can ramp up production and be prepared because all we're doing right now is delaying this, right?
Exactly.
We're not like stopping anything. We're delaying it. So what is the plan? And I think it has not been communicated to the American people what our plan is. And we need some more leadership here. And President Trump has done a lot. I'm not knocking President Trump. I mean, he made such a vital call in the beginning with travel restrictions that was phenomenal. Okay,
Yep.
I'm not trashing Donald Trump, but I want more of Donald Trump. I want him to take the reins and give us some real leadership and give us more some clarity here.
You know, I think it was the last show or the show before that I actually said I thank God Trump is president right now because Trump is reluctant to take all this power.
That's
the
right.
Democrat said he wants to be a dictator. I've never seen anyone more reluctant to be a dictator. He obviously doesn't want to be one, and now they want him to be one. And I'm like, I thank God if someone else was in there, they could have totally grabbed power, and this country would be screwed for a long time.
That's right, and that's another thing that always must be weighed. Civil liberties always must be weighed. Is it appropriate that we are arresting pastors right now for having worship with their congregants? Is that America? Is that justified? Until when? I mean, we had de Blasio say that he'll shut them down permanently if they continue to do this. That is. I'm sorry. Is the First Amendment suspended right now?
Seems like it.
Yeah, it's these things still. So I and fear is a very powerful thing, and I'm not saying it's maliciously being used. It's just there's fear out there, so it's easy to kind of give up these things, you seemingly temporarily, but seemingly temporarily. We have to hold on to our civil liberties. Keyword
seemingly.
Yeah.
Can you stay with me through a break? Because I did want to get your take on Governor Cuomo, because you are up in New York, so he is your governor.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your take on what kind of job he's doing, because now he's being floated as a presidential candidate for some reason. So I wanted to get your take on that. And I think the laugh exactly shows what she feels about that. So we'll talk with you in just a moment after break. This is Beyond Reason Radio. I'm your host, Michael Yaffee. We'll be right back.
If you miss any of the show, you can download the Beyond Reason podcast on iTunes.
But we're talking once again about coronavirus. I don't know what else we could possibly be talking about right now. It's dominating the news. And I'm speaking with Amanda Prestigiacomo, writer for the Daily Wire. And I brought her on because I try to find voices of reason. She has definitely been a voice of reason. I think she's been right on. I would recommend following her on Twitter at Amanda Presto and reading her stuff at the Daily Wire. And Amanda, one thing that I wanted to get your take on was Governor Andrew Cuomo is getting a lot of attention. And you're up in New York, so he is your governor. Any thoughts on how he's doing?
So I was hammering Cuomo pretty early on because I didn't, and I still don't agree. New York is huge. So I'm in upstate New York. Upstate New York is not downstate New York. It's not New York City. I mean, these are totally. I mean, there's farmland here, very big open spaces. You're not in this urban. You don't have all these multi-generational apartments on top of each other. It's very, very different. So that would mean that we should have different policies. We shouldn't have statewide policies. We're just too big and we're too different. Governor Cuomo had, kind of quote unquote non-essential, which is the most Orwellian term I've ever heard.
It really is.
Non-essential businesses were, closed down for, this is the third week we are going on. Yes, this is crushing small businesses. So that I do not agree with. I do not agree with Governor Cuomo as he was shutting down businesses. While the shutdown was commenced, he had his hand out and he collected sales tax revenue from these small businesses who begged for it to be delayed, not even withdrawn, but just to be delayed so they can hang on to employees. He said no, collected thousands of dollars from these small businesses, which I think is unconscionable.
It's amazing to me that, that seems like a pretty smart option right now. And for some reason, all these governors and local politicians, they don't want to do that. No, that can't be done. We can spend $2 trillion at the federal level, but suspending tax payments for just a couple of months so small businesses can make it, no, it's not. Yeah,
there really is, and apparently we should not expect any, although ideally this would be the case. There's no state relief we are depending on the federal government, which is a problem in and of itself.
I agree.
So small businesses are getting continuously hit. He had no relief on those taxes. His press conferences for the past week and change have been a little better. He has outlined, he's done a decent job of outlining what's going on, where the PPE is, where the, protective gear is, how many ventilators they have. He still has a stockpile of ventilators that he hasn't burned through yet. So which is also concerning because, you have all these reports online saying that they, we're short on ventilators or we're short on PPE. And then Governor Cuomo is coming on saying, we've talked to every single hospital and they are flush. We have the resources. We have these. So there's a disconnect there, and I don't really know.
When you talk about the disconnect, I think part of that is Cuomo's fault because it was just a week ago he was yelling about Trump not giving him enough supplies. So everyone's panicking about it. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, we have enough. That's okay. We're good now. Like, what?
Yeah. And his job is to help coordinate that as well, So he doesn't come out of here scot-free. And, people are pushing him to be the Democrat nominee because we all know Joe Biden is not – I don't understand how they run Joe Biden. We'll see what happens.
It's getting worse with Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's pretty rough with Biden. So, they're definitely pushing. We've had increasing calls for Cuomo to kind of step in here. I not say it's something unbelievable. Like if they push Cuomo in to be the nominee, I would not be utterly surprised. So, keep an eye on that. But
right.
he is, I would grade him a C+. For how he's been handling this thus far.
The mainstream outlets are grading him an A+ while they grade Trump an F, obviously.
Because we're the worst hit state in the whole entire union, so I don't really understand. But okay.
Yeah. It's a good point. I played a montage on yesterday's show of de Blasio basically saying worse stuff than Trump was saying at the beginning. Go to the bar, do this, go out, we're all fine. It was like in March, the beginning of March. And I'm like...
hug a Wuhan citizen or something. Like, it was very extreme.
What? Hug a Wuhan. If he said that, I need to find out, because that is just...
he didn't have exactly. It was tantamount to that.
Pretty much was. Hug a Wuhan. When they're more concerned about xenophobia or whatever, calling it the Chinese virus than the actual virus, it wouldn't have surprised me if someone said that. So do you have any...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
AOC said you're racist if you don't eat Chinese food. So
stupid.
There's the things they focus on. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. I'm like, they were complaining about that. I'm like, what are they? I went to a Chinese restaurant yesterday and it was packed. What are they talking about? Are they just making this up? I don't understand.
Yeah, there's a difference between China, the communist regime, lying to us and it being a Chinese virus because, again, they lied to us and let citizens leave, as opposed to us taking care of our Asian Americans, whom Trump has repeatedly said are vital. Yeah.
Anyone with a brain knows why Trump was saying that. He was saying that to put pressure on China, and if people don't understand that, that's on them. That's not on Trump.
They're beyond silly.
I wanted to ask you, do you find any possible solutions to get people back to work while also trying to control this virus? Like, is there a middle ground here? Anytime I bring up a middle ground, people criticize me saying there is no middle ground. You just want people to die. But I'm like, we're kind of doing a middle ground now with having some places open. If you don't want anyone to die, I guess we have to close everything, even the grocery stores.
Right. It's totally arbitrary. So I think that, as Trump was saying, this should be looked at county by county. This should not be one size fits all. I think that we can, for example, in California, like I was saying, antibody tests will be able to see if people are immune to the virus. So
thank you.
Maybe I think there's a possible assumption, right, that it was floating through California for at least 2 months. So it's possible that a lot of Californians kind of ran through this and had it in their body and are immune to it now. Those antibody tests would let us know if that was the case. If that's the case, wow, we can get parts of California back to work. That's just one example, right? But you can have other places that are not ravaged, and they can have these quote-unquote social distancing measures and still have you can have a diner. I don't understand how you can't have a diner open and you can practice social distancing within there. I don't see why that's an
I
issue.
completely agree with you on that.
You can go to a Walmart. I don't understand the difference there. So there needs to be some delineation. There needs to be some common sense in this, right? Like in Virginia, they closed golf courses. Why? Wide open spaces are good. Sun is good. It's disinfecting for the virus.
As long as they bring their own stuff, like who cares,
Yeah, and it's the alternative is shoving everyone in their little homes and little apartments, and we don't even know if they're asymptomatic and have it, and just getting their whole house infected. That's what we're doing right now. That is the strategy. So it's pretty alarming. So hopefully they can give us some more information, get some more testing out, see we can get back to work, see where the outbreaks are. Maybe there are harsher measures there. Let's just be strategic. That's all we're saying. Let's not compound our issues and shut down the entire economy. Let's be strategic. Let's quarantine what we have to. Let's have limitations on what we have to, and let's open up what we can. That's all.
Amanda Prestigiacomo for governor of New York State. Whenever the next election is, I can't vote for you, but I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
Obviously.
I was just going to say on the antibody thing, we were talking about California. Governor DeSantis thinks a lot of this spread in Florida during the Super Bowl in Miami, which was the beginning of February. So I totally agree with you on that. And like I've said on the show before, I'm almost convinced I had it because I got really sick at the beginning of February for a week, and I had all of the symptoms that they're talking about now, but I have no way of knowing because they're not doing the antibody tests.
That's right. That's right, and it would be so helpful if we could get some more information. Yeah, that's completely right, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if that were the case.
Yeah. Amanda Prestigiacomo from the Daily Wire. Follow her on Twitter at Amanda Presto and go to thedailywire.com. Read her stuff. Always good stuff. She is a voice of reason on all of this. And thank God people like you are sounding the alarm on some of this. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you.